General Han Bora sat in her command chair aboard the warship Eternal Vigilance, reviewing the morning reports. Nothing interesting ever happened at the Neptune defense grid. She had been stationed here for 3 years, watching empty space while politicians on Earth talked about peace and cooperation with the galaxy. Her fleet of 42 ships floated in the darkness, waiting for threats that never came. The Commonwealth had promised humanity safety when Earth joined 70 years ago. They said the galaxy was civilized now. They said the days of war and conquest were over. Bora had believed them once. She had trained her crews to follow every rule, every protocol, every diplomatic nicety that the alien species demanded. Humans were the newcomers, after all. They had to prove themselves worthy. Her second-in-command, Captain Kang Minho, walked onto the bridge carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Bora and smiled. "Another exciting day of staring at nothing, General." Bora took the cup and laughed. "I trained 15 years for this. Peak military career right here." The joke died in her throat when the communications officer suddenly stood up, her face pale. "General, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Eden 7, Priority Alpha." Bora's blood turned cold. Priority Alpha meant immediate danger. She put down her coffee and leaned forward. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life. Her younger sister, Dr. Yoon Jiwoo, appeared on the screen. Jiwoo worked as a xenobiologist at Eden 7, studying alien plants in the peaceful farming colony. Right now, she looked terrified. Behind her, alarms were blaring and people were screaming. "Bora, thank God, listen to me carefully. Warships just appeared in orbit. Hundreds of them. They're not responding to hails. The colony administrator tried to contact them, but..." Jiwoo's voice cracked. "They're demanding we evacuate the entire planet in 2 hours. 2 hours? We have 250,000 people here. We can't possibly..." "What ships?" Bora was already standing, her mind racing through tactical options. "Who are they?" "Krell Dominion. Their insignia is all over the hulls." "Bora, they're saying we violated some ancient territorial boundary. I've never even heard of this boundary before. They're saying if we don't leave in 2 hours, they'll force us out." Bora turned to her communications officer. "Get me Admiral Park Daehyun at Earth Command now, and get me the Commonwealth Emergency Council." Captain Minho was already at the navigation station. "General, even at maximum burn, we're 3 days away from Eden 7. If we push the engines past safety limits..." "Do it!" Bora snapped. "All ships battle speed. Plot course for Eden 7 immediately." On the screen, Jiwoo was looking at something off camera. Her face went even paler. "Bora, they're powering up weapons. The energy readings are..." "Oh God, these aren't warning shots. These are planetary bombardment cannons. Listen to me, Jiwoo. Get everyone into the underground shelters. Get as deep as you can. We're coming. I promise you, we're coming." Admiral Park appeared on a second screen. He was an older man, careful and political. "General Han, I'm seeing your fleet movement. Stand down immediately. We're opening diplomatic channels with the Krell. This is clearly a misunderstanding. Admiral, they have weapons aimed at a civilian colony. My sister is down there with 250,000 people, which is exactly why we need to be calm. The Commonwealth has protocols for this. We've requested an emergency mediation session. The Krell are a founding member species. They won't actually attack civilians. They're just posturing." Bora wanted to scream at him, but she kept her voice level. "And if you're wrong, Admiral?" "I'm not wrong. Trust the system, General. That's an order." The Commonwealth mediator appeared on a third screen. She was a tall, thin alien with blue skin and too many eyes. "This council recognizes the territorial dispute between the Krell Dominion and humanity. Both parties are requested to submit formal documentation supporting their claims. A hearing will be scheduled within 30 standard days." 30 days? Bora couldn't believe what she was hearing. "They have 2 hours. You need to send peacekeeping ships now." The Commonwealth does not interfere in legitimate territorial disputes. Humanity's claim to Eden 7 will be evaluated through proper legal channels. The screen went dark. The alien had disconnected. Bora looked at Jiwoo, still visible on the main screen. Her sister was crying now, helping children run toward the shelter entrances. "Bora, I'm scared. Please tell me you're coming." "I'm coming. 3 days, Jiwoo. Hold on for 3 days. I love you, sister. I love you too." The next 2 hours were the longest of Bora's life. She stood on her bridge watching the tactical display as her fleet raced toward Eden 7. She listened to the open channel from the colony. She heard the colonists begging the Krell for mercy. She heard the Krell commander give the final warning. She heard the countdown reach 0. Then she heard the first impacts. Jiwoo's voice came through one last time. They're firing. The whole sky is burning. Bora, they're killing everyone. Why? We didn't do anything wrong. Why would they? The transmission cut to static. Bora stood frozen, staring at the dead screen. Around her, the bridge was silent. Every officer had heard it. Every one of them knew what that static meant. Captain Minho spoke quietly. General, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Park. Put it through. The Admiral's face appeared. He looked sick. General Han, I've just received confirmation from Commonwealth observers. The Krell have initiated full planetary bombardment of Eden 7. Current estimates are total casualties. I'm ordering your fleet to stand down and return to Neptune Station. We will be filing formal diplomatic protests. Bora didn't respond. She kept staring at the screen where her sister had been moments ago. General Han, do you understand your orders? She reached out slowly and deleted the Admiral's message. The screen went dark. General? Captain Minho stepped closer. What are our orders? Bora's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her command console until they stopped. When she spoke, her voice was perfectly calm. Send a message to Earth, tell them I'm invoking Article 7. Every officer on the bridge turned to look at her. Article 7 was something from Earth's old history, from the dark days before the Commonwealth. It was the emergency protocol that gave military commanders absolute authority when humanity faced extinction. General, Minho said carefully, Article 7 hasn't been invoked in 70 years. The Commonwealth will see it as an act of aggression. Bora finally looked at him. Her eyes were dry now, but something had changed in them, something cold and final. The Commonwealth just watched my sister die. They watched 250,000 humans die and did nothing. I don't care what they think anymore. She turned to face her crew. Maintain course for Eden 7. When we arrive, I want full tactical scans of the Krell fleet. I want to know where they go, what they do, and where they sleep at night. This is not over. 3 days later, Bora stood on Eden 7's surface. The planet was dead. The colony was gone, melted into glass by the orbital strikes. She walked through the ruins with her security team, their boots crunching on what used to be homes, schools, parks. Everything was ash and silence. She found what was left of the research facility where Jiwoo had worked. Nothing remained but a crater. Captain Minho stood beside her. The Krell fleet departed 6 hours after the bombardment. They're back in their own space now. Commonwealth observers classified the incident as a regrettable territorial enforcement action. Several alien species have sent congratulations to the Krell for maintaining firm boundaries. Bora knelt down and picked up a piece of melted metal. It might have been a toy. It might have been a tool. It was impossible to tell anymore. General, Minho said quietly, what happens now? She stood up and looked at the blackened sky. Now we stop being civilized. We stop following their rules. We stop pretending the galaxy cares about us. She turned to face him. Now we make them understand what happens when you kill our innocent. We're going to war, Captain. Real war. The kind that makes species remember for centuries why you don't touch humanity. Minho nodded slowly. Yes, General. As they walked back to the shuttle, Bora sent one message to the Krell Imperator. It was short, simple, a promise wrapped in 5 words. We're coming for you next. The War Council chamber in Geneva was built to hold 50 people. Today it held 200. Every military commander, every intelligence director, every government minister crowded into the space. They all wanted to see what would happen when General Han Bora walked through those doors. President Choi Sora sat at the head of the long table, her hands folded in front of her. She had been Earth's president for 6 years, guiding humanity through peaceful expansion and diplomatic success. Now she looked 10 years older than she had a week ago. The Eden 7 massacre had changed everything. Admiral Park Dae-hyun sat to her right, still in his dress uniform. He hadn't slept since the attack. He kept seeing the casualty reports, kept hearing the recordings of children screaming as the orbital bombardment began. He had told Bora to stand down. He had trusted the Commonwealth. He would never forgive himself. The doors opened. General Bora walked in, still wearing her combat gear from Eden 7. Ash still stained her boots. She didn't salute. She didn't apologize for being late. She simply walked to the table and stood there waiting. President Choi spoke first. General Han, you invoked Article 7 without authorization. You've put Earth in a very difficult position. The Commonwealth is demanding we court-martial you for insubordination. Bora's voice was flat. With respect, Madam President, the Commonwealth can go to hell. Gasps echoed around the room. No one spoke to the President that way. No one spoke about the Commonwealth that way. But Bora didn't flinch. She pulled out a data chip and slid it across the table. I spent 3 days investigating Eden 7. I spoke with the Commonwealth observers who were supposed to be monitoring the situation. Want to know what I found? She didn't wait for an answer. The territorial boundary the Krell claimed we violated. It doesn't exist. It never existed. They made it up. Admiral Park leaned forward. What? The Krell wanted to test us. They wanted to see if humanity would fight back or just accept whatever they did to us. And the Commonwealth, they knew. The observers told me directly. They knew it was a fake claim and they let it happen anyway. President Choi's face went pale. That's impossible. The Commonwealth exists to prevent exactly this kind of violence. The Commonwealth exists to protect the strong, Bora said coldly. We're newcomers. We're weak, so they don't care what happens to us. They watched my sister burn, Madam President. They watched 250,000 humans die and their response was to file paperwork. She activated the data chip. Images appeared on the room's main screens. Ships, debris, wreckage floating in space. This is from the past 10 years. 12 human vessels gone missing near Krell space. We thought they were accidents. Navigation errors. Equipment failures. I dug deeper. They weren't accidents. The Krell destroyed them. Thousands of humans dead. And we never knew because we were too busy being civilized. The room erupted in angry voices. President Choi had to bang her gavel 3 times to restore order. General Han, are you certain about this? I'm certain. And I'm certain that if we don't respond, we'll be extinct in 20 years. The galaxy doesn't respect peace. It respects strength. A door at the back of the chamber opened. A thin man in a white coat walked in, flanked by security guards. Dr. Nam Hyun-woo looked uncomfortable in the crowded room, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. He was the head of the Prometheus Project, Earth's most classified weapons program. President Choi frowned. Dr. Nam, you weren't summoned to this meeting. I know, Madam President. But General Han contacted me 2 days ago. She asked me to prepare a presentation. He looked at Bora. Should I begin? Bora nodded. Dr. Nam activated his own data display. For 70 years, Earth has followed Commonwealth weapons treaties. We agreed not to develop certain technologies they deemed too dangerous. Artificial intelligence weapons, nanotechnology, stellar manipulation devices, singularity weapons. We followed those rules because we wanted to be good citizens of the galaxy. He pressed a button. New images appeared. Sleek missiles, swarms of microscopic machines, satellites that looked like they belonged in a nightmare. The Prometheus Project was created 30 years ago as an insurance policy. A just-in-case scenario. We developed everything the Commonwealth banned. We just never deployed it. Admiral Park stood up. You built weapons of mass destruction without government authorization? We built them with authorization from every president since the Commonwealth treaties were signed. Including you, Madam President. You signed the budget approval 3 months after your inauguration. Check your classified files under Project Omega. President Choi looked like she'd been punched. She pulled up her secure tablet and scrolled through files. Her hands started shaking. I signed this. I don't remember. It was buried in a defense appropriations bill. Page 412. Every president signs it without reading it. That's the point. Plausible deniability. Bora stepped forward. Madam President, we have weapons that can end civilizations. Missiles that create black holes. Nanomachines that eat through starship hulls like paper. AI-controlled drone swarms that can overwhelm any defense system. Devices that can make a star go supernova. We built all of this because somewhere, deep down, we knew the Commonwealth's promises were lies. President Choi looked around the room at the shocked faces of her advisors and ministers. This is insane. If we use these weapons, we're no better than the Krell. If we don't use them, we're extinct, Bora said simply. The Krell won't stop with Eden 7, they'll keep testing us. Keep pushing. And every time, the Commonwealth will do nothing. We have to show the galaxy that humanity has teeth. Another person stood up from the shadows. Commander Shinara limped forward on her prosthetic leg, a souvenir from the border skirmishes 15 years ago. She led the Ghost Corps, humanity's Black Operations Unit. We already have people in place. Agents embedded across Krell space. We've been preparing for this scenario since the first human ship disappeared. Give the word, and we can cripple their fleet before they know we're coming. Admiral Park slammed his hand on the table. This is madness. You're talking about starting a war with the most powerful empire in the galaxy. They have 2,000 warships. We have 300. They have 2,000 targets, Bora corrected. We have weapons they've never seen and can't defend against. They think we're weak. That's our advantage. President Choi stood up slowly. She walked to the window overlooking the city below. Millions of people lived there, going about their lives trusting that their government would keep them safe. She had sworn an oath to protect them, but how? If we do this, she said quietly, there's no going back. We'll be branded as war criminals. The Commonwealth will sanction us. Other species might join the Krell against us. They already think we're weak, Bora said. Sanctions don't matter if we're dead. And if other species join the Krell, then we'll show them what happens when you back humanity into a corner. The president turned around. Tears ran down her face, but her voice was steady. This council will vote. All in favor of authorizing military action against the Krell Dominion? Hands rose slowly around the room. One by one, military commanders and government ministers voted. Admiral Park was the last to raise his hand, his face twisted with anguish. President Choi raised her own hand. Authorization granted. General Han, you have command of this operation. God help us all. Bora saluted properly for the first time since entering the room. Thank you, Madam President. I promise you humanity will survive this. We'll do whatever it takes. 6 hours later, Bora stood before her assembled fleet. 300 warships floated in formation around Earth, their crews listening to her broadcast. She had written and rewritten her speech a dozen times. In the end, she threw away the script and just spoke from her heart. For 70 years, we played by their rules. We were polite. We were civilized. We believed that the galaxy had evolved past barbarism. Eden 7 proved we were wrong. The galaxy respects only one thing: strength. The Krell massacred our people because they thought we were weak. They thought we would just accept it and move on. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They were wrong. Starting today, we stop being the galaxy's victims. We're going to remind them why Earth survived every war, every disaster, every extinction event thrown at us. We're going to remind them that humans are apex predators. We held ourselves back because we wanted to be civilized. They've shown us that civilization is just a pretty word for surrender. Bora's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried more weight than a shout. The Krell killed our innocent. Now we're going after theirs. We're bringing hell with us. And when this is over, the galaxy will remember one lesson. You don't attack humanity. Not ever. Not without consequences that will haunt you for generations. She raised her fist. For Eden 7, for every human they murdered. For our future. We're going to war. 300 ships lit their engines in unison. The fleet began moving toward Krell space. On the Krell throne world, Imperator Valth received Bora's message. He read it once, laughed, and deleted it. Humans making threats? Amusing. He called for his second-in-command, High Commander Threxus. The humans are upset about that colony. Send a squadron to patrol the border. Make sure they don't do anything stupid. Threxus bowed but felt uneasy. He had studied humans during their admission to the Commonwealth. He remembered reading about their history, their wars, their capacity for violence when threatened. My lord, perhaps we should take this seriously. Humans are unpredictable. They're weak, Valth said dismissively. They'll complain to the Commonwealth, file protests, and eventually forget. That's what civilized species do. Threxus said nothing more, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they had made a terrible mistake. Lieutenant Bae Suman wiped the grease from her hands and looked at the massive warship suspended in the Krell shipyard. She had worked here for 2 years as a maintenance technician, just another alien worker keeping the Empire's war machine running. No one suspected that she was human. The genetic modifications made her look like a common Valorian, a species known for being excellent with machinery. No one suspected that she was Ghost Corps. Her communicator vibrated once. The signal she'd been waiting for. She walked calmly to the reactor control room, nodding at the Krell supervisor who barely glanced at her. Workers were invisible to the Empire's military elite. That was their greatest weakness. Inside the reactor room, she accessed the main computer terminal and inserted a data spike. The virus uploaded in 12 seconds. She removed the spike, crushed it under her boot, and walked out. Behind her, deep in the heart of the shipyard's power system, lines of code began rewriting themselves. Across Krell space, 40 other Ghost Corps agents were doing exactly the same thing. Aboard the stealth ship, Shadow of Retribution, Captain Lee Jun watched his tactical display with satisfaction. 40 shipyards, 40 viruses, all set to activate simultaneously in 6 hours. He opened a secure channel to General Bora. "Package delivered, General. All gifts are under the tree." Bora's face appeared on his screen. "Excellent work, Captain. Phase 1 begins at dawn. Make sure your people are clear. Already moving them to extraction points. Ghost Corps doesn't leave anyone behind." 6 hours later, the first Krell shipyard exploded. Then the second. Then the third. Within 20 minutes, 40 military construction facilities across 12 star systems experienced catastrophic reactor failures. The explosions were visible from orbit, brief suns of destruction that erased years of work in moments. 200 Krell warships, half-built and helpless, died in their cradles. On the Krell throne world, alarms screamed across the military command center. Imperator Valth stormed in, his ceremonial robes still smoking from where he'd rushed past a decorative fire. "What happened?" High Commander Threxus stood before a wall of displays showing destruction reports. "Simultaneous reactor failures across 40 shipyards, my lord. Initial reports suggest sabotage." "Sabotage? By whom? Unknown. But the timing is suspicious. This happened exactly 3 weeks after Eden 7. Valth's face darkened. "The humans? Impossible. They don't have the capability for this kind of operation." "Apparently they do, my lord." Lieutenant Bay was already off-world, sitting in a transport heading for the extraction point. She allowed herself a small smile. That was for Eden 7. That was for Jiwoo. That was for every human who died thinking the galaxy was civilized. Her communicator buzzed again. New orders. Phase 2 was beginning. Director Huang Taimin sat in his office on Earth, coordinating the Ghost Corps operations across Krell space. His wall was covered with maps, intelligence reports, and target assessments. He'd spent 5 years building this network of agents and informants. Now it was paying off. His assistant knocked and entered. "Director, we just received confirmation. Lieutenant Bay has uploaded the Naval Command virus. It's spreading through their tactical networks now." Huang nodded. "How long until the Krell notice?" "They already know something's wrong, but they think it's random system glitches. By the time they realize it's a coordinated attack, it'll be too late. The virus in the Krell naval networks was elegant. It didn't crash systems or destroy data. It just made things slightly wrong. Coordinates off by a few degrees, fuel calculations incorrect by small percentages, communications delayed by random intervals. Nothing obvious enough to trigger immediate alarms, but enough to make fleet coordination nearly impossible." High Commander Threxus discovered the problem 3 days later, when 2 of his patrol fleets almost collided because their navigation data didn't match. He ordered a full system audit, but the virus was designed to hide itself during diagnostics. The more they looked, the more phantom problems appeared. "This is deliberate," Threxus told Valth. "Someone is inside our networks, someone very skilled. Find them. Rip apart every computer system if you have to." While the Krell tore apart their own infrastructure looking for ghosts, Captain Lee and his stealth ship moved to Phase 3. The Crimson Fleet was the pride of the Krell military. 1,000 warships, all elite units, all considered invincible. But every fleet needed supplies, fuel, ammunition, replacement parts. Captain Lee's ship drifted silently through space, its stealth systems making it invisible to Krell sensors. His weapons officer marked targets on the tactical display. Secret supply depots hidden across neutral space, protected only by light defenses because no one knew they existed. "General Bora," Lee transmitted. "We have eyes on 40 supply stations. Crimson Fleet Logistics. Request permission to light them up." Bora's response was immediate. "Permission granted. Make it hurt." The Shadow of Retribution fired its first missile, then its second, then its 10th. Each missile traveled through slip space, emerging directly inside the shield perimeters of the supply depots. The stations didn't have time to sound alarms before they exploded. Across Krell space, 40 hidden supply depots vanished in fire. Fuel reserves that took years to accumulate gone. Ammunition stockpiles gone. Repair facilities gone. The mighty Crimson Fleet suddenly found itself stranded across a dozen star systems, with no way to refuel or rearm. High Commander Threxus received the reports with growing horror. The humans. It has to be the humans. No one else knows where those depots are. Then destroy them, Valth roared. Send the Crimson Fleet to Earth. Crush them before they can do any more damage. My lord, the Crimson Fleet can't move. They don't have fuel. And even if they did, our navigation systems are compromised. Half of them would get lost trying to form up. Valth stared at his second-in-command. For the first time in his long life, he felt something unfamiliar. Fear. How? How did a species we crushed 3 weeks ago do this to us? We didn't crush them, my lord. We made them angry. The Commonwealth called an emergency session. Representatives from 50 species gathered to discuss the situation. The moderator, a crystalline being from the Theta system, addressed the assembly. The conflict between humanity and the Krell Dominion is escalating. We must intervene. General Bora appeared on every screen in the chamber. She hadn't been invited, but Ghost Corps had hacked the Commonwealth's communication systems 12 hours ago. You're right. You should have intervened 3 weeks ago, when the Krell murdered 250,000 civilians. But you did nothing. General Han, the moderator said stiffly, you are not authorized to address this council. I don't need your authorization. I'm here to deliver a message. Humanity no longer recognizes Commonwealth authority. You stood by and watched our people die. You called it a territorial dispute. You filed paperwork while our children burned. So now we're handling this ourselves. You're committing acts of war. The Krell committed acts of war when they destroyed Eden 7. We're just returning the favor. And here's the part you need to understand. We're not stopping. We're going to hurt them. We're going to make them bleed. And if you try to stop us, we'll consider you enemies too. The transmission cut out. The Commonwealth chamber erupted in chaos. Several species demanded immediate military action against humanity. Others urged caution. A few, very quietly, wondered if maybe the humans had a point. Back on the shadow of retribution, Captain Lee received new orders from General Bora. Captain, it's time for Phase 4. The Krell are regrouping at Nexus Station. Dr. Nam's team has prepared a special gift for them. Understood, General. Moving into position now. Nexus Station was a fortress, a massive military installation at the edge of Krell space. High Commander Threxus ordered all available Crimson Fleet ships to regroup there. It would take time, but eventually they would gather enough force to strike back at humanity. The shadow of retribution drifted close to Nexus Station, releasing a cloud of microscopic machines. The nanites were invisible, smaller than dust particles. They floated on solar wind spread by random chance, settling on the hulls of every ship that approached the station. Then they went dormant, waiting for activation. Lieutenant Bay, now safely back on Earth, watched the operation reports coming in. Phase 1 had destroyed the shipyards. Phase 2 had corrupted their networks. Phase 3 had eliminated their supplies. Phase 4 was the preparation. Phase 5 would be the kill. She thought about her training years ago. Commander Shinara had told them all the same thing. The Ghost Corps doesn't fight fair. We fight to win. We fight to make sure humanity survives. Everything else is just noise. Bay had lived 2 years among the Krell. She'd seen how they treated other species, how they looked down on everyone who wasn't them, how they genuinely believed they deserved to rule the galaxy because of their military strength. Eden 7 wasn't an aberration. It was policy. They had to be stopped. Not just defeated. Broken. Made into an example so clear that no other species would dare to try the same thing. Commander Shin Ara walked into the operations center, her prosthetic leg clicking on the metal floor. Good work, everyone. The Krell think they're regrouping. They think they still have a chance. They're wrong. She pulled up the tactical display showing Nexus Station. 2,000 Krell warships were gathering there, the entire Crimson Fleet finally assembling in one place. This is what we wanted. Get them all in one spot. Then we close the trap. Director Huang looked at the numbers. 2,000 ships. That's the majority of Krell military strength. If we destroy them, we destroy the Krell Dominion's ability to wage war. Shin finished. That's the goal. That's always been the goal. Not to defeat them. To break them so completely that they'll never threaten us again. She activated the communicator to General Bora. Commander, the trap is set. All pieces in place. Recommend we move to Phase 5. Bora's face appeared on screen. She looked tired, but her eyes burned with determination. Agreed. Activate the nanites, then bring in the fleet. It's time to end this. High Commander Threxus stood on the bridge of his flagship at Nexus Station, finally feeling something like confidence again. Yes, the humans had hurt them. Yes, they'd lost shipyards and supplies. But the Crimson Fleet was gathering. 2,000 warships all together, all ready to strike back. Prepare for fleet jump to Earth, he ordered. We'll show them what happens when they attack the Krell Dominion. His weapons officer looked up from his console. Commander, we're detecting strange power fluctuations across the fleet. Ships are reporting system failures. More sabotage? Unknown. It's spreading fast. Shields are failing, weapons offline, engines shutting down. Threxus felt cold dread wash over him. All ships, emergency protocols, isolate all systems. It was too late. The nanites had spent weeks spreading across the fleet, too small to detect, too patient to trigger alarms. Now, all at once, they activated, eating through power conduits, severing control lines, disabling every warship in the Crimson Fleet. 2,000 ships went dark. General Han Bora stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, watching the tactical display as her fleet emerged from slip space. 300 human warships appeared at the edge of the Nexus Station system, their weapons powered and ready. In front of them floated 2,000 Krell warships, all dead in space, their power systems eaten away by nanite corruption. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Captain Kang Minho stood beside her, his face pale. General, we're receiving surrender signals from the Crimson Fleet. High Commander Threxus is requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations. Bora said nothing. She just stared at the disabled ships, thinking about Eden 7, thinking about Jiwoo's last words, thinking about the 250,000 people who died while the Commonwealth watched and did nothing. General? Minho pressed. What are your orders? Fire, she said quietly. General, they're surrendering. They're helpless. Bora turned to look at him. Her eyes were empty, cold. Were the children at Eden 7 helpless? Did the Krell accept their surrender? Did they show mercy when people begged for their lives? Minho had no answer. He looked around the bridge at the other officers. They all avoided his eyes. They all knew what was about to happen. Some looked sick. Some looked angry. None of them objected. All ships, Bora transmitted to the fleet. Target the disabled Krell vessels. Fire at will. No survivors. The human fleet opened fire. Missiles and energy beams lanced across space, smashing into the helpless Krell ships. One by one, the warships of the Crimson Fleet exploded. Escape pods launched desperately, trying to flee the massacre. Bora gave another order. Colonel O, deploy the Valkyrie squadrons. Hunt down every escape pod. No one gets away. Colonel O Minji led the fighter wings from her cockpit. She was one of humanity's best pilots, with 12 combat kills to her name. She'd always fought by the rules, always followed the laws of war. But today felt different. Today felt necessary. All Valkyries, you heard the general. Find every pod. Eliminate them. Her fighters scattered across the battlefield, tracking down the fleeing Krell. Some pilots hesitated. Some fired immediately. All of them followed orders. The escape pods died like fireworks against the black of space. Ambassador Rael of the Torvan Republic transmitted from his observation ship nearby. His species had been chosen by the Commonwealth to monitor the conflict. His voice shook with horror. General Han, this is a war crime. These ships are disabled. You're committing mass murder. Bora's response was broadcast across all frequencies, sent to every corner of the galaxy. Tell that to Eden 7. Tell that to the 250,000 civilians your Commonwealth abandoned. Tell that to every species watching right now. This is what happens when you attack humanity's innocent. This is the price. Remember it. She cut the transmission and continued the slaughter. High Commander Threxus watched from his flagship's darkened bridge as his fleet died around him. He had commanded the Crimson Fleet for 20 years. He had conquered 6 star systems for the Krell Dominion. He had been called invincible. Now he was going to die, powerless, while humans picked apart his fleet ship by ship. His communications officer managed to get one system online. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. It's General Han. She wants to speak with you." Threxis laughed bitterly. "Put her through." Bora's face appeared on his screen. She looked tired, but not regretful. Not sorry. Just tired. "Hi, Commander. I wanted you to understand why this is happening. Spare me your justifications, human. Just finish it." "Oh, I will. But first, you need to know something. We found the records. The 12 ships that disappeared near Krell space over the past decade. You personally ordered their destruction. 3,000 humans dead, and you covered it up as accidents." Threxis said nothing. What could he say? It was true. "Eden 7 wasn't the first time you killed us," Bora continued. "It was just the first time you did it openly. You thought we were weak. You thought we would just accept it. You were wrong." "We were testing you," Threxis admitted. "Imperator Valth wanted to know if humans would fight or surrender. Clearly, you fight. We do more than fight. We remember. We hold grudges. We make examples. That's what this is, High Commander. You're going to die today along with your entire fleet. Not because we enjoy killing, because we need the galaxy to understand that humanity is off limits. Forever." Threxis looked around his bridge at his dying crew, young soldiers who had trusted him to lead them to victory. "My people will avenge this. The Krell Dominion will never forget." "Good," Bora said. "That's the point. Remember Eden 7. Remember what happens when you make us stop being civilized." The transmission ended. 2 minutes later, a missile struck Threxis's flagship. The last thing he saw was fire. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 6 hours. 2,000 Krell warships destroyed. 800,000 military personnel dead. The Crimson Fleet, the pride of the Krell Dominion, ceased to exist. The Commonwealth convened an emergency session within hours. The chamber was chaos. Species that had stayed neutral were now picking sides. Some called for immediate military intervention against humanity. Others urged caution. The moderator struggled to maintain order. This council officially condemns the actions of General Han Bora and the human military. The destruction of surrendered forces is a violation of the Commonwealth Charter. We are declaring humanity a rogue species and authorizing economic sanctions. A representative from the Krell spoke next, his voice raw with grief. "Sanctions? They murdered our entire fleet. We demand military action. We demand justice." "The council will assemble a peacekeeping force," the moderator announced. "All member species are invited to contribute ships. We will restore order to this sector and ensure humanity faces consequences for their crimes." 15 species pledged warships to the cause. Within days, a combined Commonwealth fleet of 5,000 vessels began gathering, not to help the Krell, not to avenge Eden 7, but to put humanity back in its place. On the Krell throne world, Imperator Valth sat alone in his throne room. Half his military was gone. His invincible Crimson Fleet was space debris, and the humans were still out there, still armed, still angry. He pulled up a communication channel to General Bora. It took her 3 days to respond. When she did, her face showed no emotion at all. "Imperator," Bora said flatly, "I assume you're calling to surrender." "I'm calling to negotiate. Enough blood has been spilled. What do you want? Territory? Resources? We can reach an agreement. What I want is for you to understand. You don't touch humanity. Not ever. Not our colonies. Not our ships. Not our people. Because if you do, we'll come for you. We'll come for your fleets. We'll come for your worlds. We'll bring weapons you've never imagined and violence you can't comprehend." Valth's pride warred with his survival instinct. "We still have armies. We still have ships. If you push us too far." "You'll what?" Bora interrupted. "Attack another colony? We'll destroy another fleet. Attack Earth? We have defenses you can't break. The difference between us, Imperator, is simple. You thought war was about honor and glory. We know it's about survival, and humans are very, very good at surviving. She leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. You're going to admit that Eden 7 was unprovoked genocide. You're going to pay reparations. You're going to accept permanent monitoring of your military. And you're going to remember that humanity is not prey. And if I refuse, then we keep killing you until someone else takes your throne and agrees. Your choice. Valth closed his eyes. He had ruled for 30 years. He had expanded the Krell dominion across 20 systems. He had been feared across the galaxy. Now he was being dictated to by a species that joined the Commonwealth less than a century ago. I agree, he said quietly. Smart choice. We'll send you the terms. The transmission ended. Valth sat in silence, the weight of his defeat crushing him. Admiral Park contacted Bora soon after. General, we have a problem. The Commonwealth is assembling a fleet, 5,000 ships from 15 species. They're calling it a peacekeeping force, but we both know what it really is. They're coming to Earth. Bora looked at the tactical projections. 5,000 ships. Her fleet had 300. Even with their advanced weapons, those odds were impossible. How long until they arrive? 2 weeks. General, we can't win this fight. We need to negotiate. No, Bora said firmly. No more negotiations. No more trusting that the galaxy will be reasonable. They've shown us who they are. Now we show them who we are. What are you planning? Something that will make them think very carefully about attacking Earth. Something that will make every species in the Commonwealth lose sleep at night. Contact Dr. Nam. Tell him to activate the Helios Array. Captain Kang Minho overheard the order. General, the Helios Array is a doomsday weapon. If we activate it, we prove that humanity refuses to be victims ever again. Make the call, Captain. Across the galaxy, hidden satellites near 50 Commonwealth homeworlds came online. Each satellite contained a stellar igniter, a device capable of destabilizing a star. Dr. Nam's team had spent 30 years planting them, one by one, during peaceful exploration missions. No one had ever suspected. Now they were all active, all aimed, all ready to fire. The Commonwealth detection systems picked up the signals immediately. Within hours, every species in the Coalition fleet received the same message. Humanity had weapons pointed at their homeworlds. One command from Earth and 50 stars would go supernova. Billions would die. The fleet stopped moving. Bora transmitted to the Commonwealth one final time. You wanted to come to Earth, to punish us for defending ourselves. Here's the situation. We have stellar igniters aimed at 50 Commonwealth worlds. Advance on Earth and we trigger them all. Your choice. You can try to take us down, but we'll drag half the galaxy into death with us. The Commonwealth chamber descended into pandemonium. Species screamed at each other. Some demanded they call the bluff. Others refused to risk their entire populations. The coalition began falling apart before it ever reached Earth. President Choi contacted Bora privately. General, this is insane. We're holding the galaxy hostage. How is this different from what the Krell did? The Krell attacked innocent civilians without provocation, Bora replied. We're threatening military action against governments that stood by and watched us die. That's different. And more importantly, they believe we'll do it, will we? Bora was silent for a long moment. I hope we never have to find out. The standoff lasted 17 days. 17 days of the Commonwealth fleet hanging in space, unwilling to advance. 17 days of diplomatic channels burning with threats and counter-threats. 17 days of the galaxy holding its breath, waiting to see if humanity would actually destroy 50 worlds. Captain Yu Ji-hyun commanded the defense grid around Earth, watching the distant fleet on her screens. Her ship, the Defiant, was old and had seen better days, but her crew was ready. If those 5,000 ships came, they would fight to the last. At least they would die defending home. Her communications officer looked up. Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's from Imperator Valth of the Krell Dominion. Yu frowned. Put it through. Valth appeared on screen. He looked like he'd aged 20 years in the past month. His scales were dull, his eyes hollow. Captain Yu, I need to speak with General Han Bora. The General is busy managing the defense of our homeworld. You can speak through me. Please. This is important. For all of us. Yu forwarded the transmission to Bora's flagship. Moments later, Bora's face appeared on a split screen. She looked at Valth without expression. Imperator, come to gloat about the fleet surrounding us? I've come to surrender, Valth said simply. Complete surrender. The Krell Dominion will accept any terms you dictate. We will admit to genocide at Eden 7. We will pay reparations. We will submit to monitoring. We will reduce our military. Whatever you want. Bora studied him carefully. Why the sudden change of heart? Because I finally understand what we did. We didn't just attack a colony. We woke something that should have stayed sleeping. Humanity at peace is manageable. Humanity at war is... He struggled for words. You're willing to burn the galaxy to survive. That's not weakness. That's terrifying. You should have thought of that before you killed my sister. I know, and I will spend the rest of my life regretting that decision. But right now we have a bigger problem. That Commonwealth fleet, half of them want to destroy Earth. The other half want to destroy us for making them look weak. If this continues, we'll all lose. Bora leaned back in her chair. What are you proposing? A joint statement. The Krell admit wrongdoing. Humanity agrees to deactivate the Helios array. We both call for the Commonwealth fleet to stand down. Together we show them that this conflict is over. And why should I trust you? Valth looked directly at her. Because you've already won, General. The Krell Dominion is broken. Our fleet is gone. Our reputation is shattered. We're no longer a threat to anyone. You've achieved your goal. Now the question is whether you want justice or revenge. Bora was silent for a long time. Finally she spoke. I want guarantees, written, binding, enforced by neutral parties. The Krell military reduces to defense forces only. You surrender control of the conquered territories. War crimes tribunals for everyone involved in Eden 7, and one more thing. Name it. A permanent memorial on Eden 7. Every name, every face, every person you murdered. The galaxy needs to remember what happens when they think humans are easy targets. Agreed, Valth said immediately. I'll draft the terms myself. The transmission ended. Captain Kang approached Bora. General, do you actually trust him? No, Bora said. But he's right about one thing. We've won. The Krell are broken. Now we need to make sure the rest of the galaxy understands the lesson, without actually triggering doomsday. Counselor, then of the Avery Assembly, watched the joint Krell-Human statement from his office on the Commonwealth Council Station. The Avari were a peaceful species, bird-like beings who valued philosophy and diplomacy, then had opposed the Eden 7 massacre from the beginning. He had been one of the few voices calling for immediate action. No one had listened. Now he watched as Imperator Valth publicly admitted to genocide and begged humanity to show mercy. He watched as General Bora laid out terms that would reshape galactic politics. He watched as the mighty Krell Dominion effectively surrendered. He opened a channel to the Commonwealth fleet. This is Counselor Then. I'm calling for an immediate vote on fleet disposition. The conflict has been resolved through diplomatic channels. We should stand down. The responses came quickly. Some species agreed, others refused. The fleet began splitting apart, different factions arguing about what to do next. It was exactly the chaos Bora had counted on. Admiral Park contacted Bora from Earth. General, the Commonwealth fleet is breaking up. About 2,000 ships are withdrawing. The rest are still debating. I think we might actually survive this. Might isn't good enough, Bora replied. Send a message to Counselor Then. Tell him we're willing to negotiate. But only if the entire fleet withdraws. And only if humanity gets permanent representation on the Commonwealth Security Council. They'll never agree to that. They will if they want us to deactivate Helios. Make the offer. President Choi met with Bora in person 3 days later. The president looked exhausted, gray-haired, and worn down by the constant crisis. General, the Commonwealth has agreed to your terms. They're withdrawing the fleet. They're offering us a permanent council seat. They're even agreeing to sanctions against the Krell. What's the catch? We have to deactivate the Helios array completely. Not just turn it off, but dismantle the satellites. Bora shook her head. No. General, we can't hold the galaxy hostage forever. We're not holding them hostage. We're maintaining deterrence. The array is the only thing preventing this from happening again. The moment we dismantle it, we become victims again. But keeping it active makes us no better than the Krell. Bora stood up and walked to the window overlooking Earth. Madam President, the Krell attacked innocent civilians without warning. We built weapons to defend ourselves and only revealed them when forced. Those aren't the same thing. The array could kill billions, and that's exactly why no one will attack us. Mutually assured destruction kept Earth safe during the nuclear age. It'll keep us safe in the Galactic Age too. President Choi rubbed her temples. The Commonwealth wants proof that we'll never use it. Tell them this. The array stays active. But we'll agree to a verification protocol. Any Commonwealth inspector anytime can verify that we haven't added new satellites or changed the targeting. They get transparency. We keep deterrence. Everyone wins. The president looked at her. You've thought about this. I've thought about nothing else since Jiwoo died. I won't let humanity be vulnerable again. Not ever. 6 months later, the formal agreement was signed. The Krell Dominion was dissolved, its territory divided among neighboring species. Imperator Valt was tried for war crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. High-ranking Krell military officers faced tribunals. Reparations flowed to humanity for Eden 7 and the 12 destroyed ships. Humanity gained a permanent seat on the Commonwealth Security Council with veto power. No military action could be taken against Earth without unanimous agreement, effectively making humanity untouchable. The Helios array remained active. Satellites monitoring 50 Commonwealth stars, a constant reminder that humanity refused to be victims. General Han Bora retired from military service. She was 43 years old and felt ancient. She had won the war, but the cost haunted her. 800,000 Krell dead in the Nexus Station massacre. Countless more in the smaller engagements. Yes, the Krell had struck first. Yes, Eden 7 justified retaliation. But she still saw their faces at night. She returned to Eden 7 for the memorial dedication. The planet had been terraformed again, made habitable. But the site of the original colony was left as it had been, scarred and broken. A massive wall of black stone now stood there, 12 stories tall, covered in names. 250,000 names. Every civilian who died in the massacre. Bora stood before the wall, searching until she found her sister's name. Dr. Yoon Jiwoo, age 38. Xenobiologist. Loved plants and terrible jokes, and her older sister, Captain Kang, now Admiral Kang, stood beside her. They say species from across the galaxy come here now. They want to see the memorial. They want to understand what happened. Good, Bora said quietly. They should understand. They should know what happens when you murder our innocent. They should remember that humanity can be civilized, but only if you treat us with respect. A young woman approached. A private in the Earth Defense Forces. Private Song Yunbi, barely 22, assigned to memorial security. She saluted nervously. General Han? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to thank you. My family lived on Eden 7. My parents, my little brother. They died in the bombardment. You avenged them. Bora looked at the young soldier. She saw the same pain in her eyes that Bora felt every day. I didn't avenge them, Private. I just made sure no one else would have to go through what you and I went through. That's the best I could do. It was enough, General. The galaxy respects us now. They're afraid of us. We're safe. For now, Bora said. But respect built on fear doesn't last forever. Eventually, someone will forget. Someone will think we've gone soft. Someone will test us again. She turned to face the young soldier. And when that happens, your generation will have to remind them. Remind them why humanity is off limits. Remind them what happens when they push us too far. Song nodded seriously. We will, General. We promise. 10 years later, an extragalactic threat appeared on the edge of Commonwealth space. A hostile alien swarm, billions of ships consuming everything in their path. The Commonwealth convened an emergency session and debated what to do. Humanity's representative received a private message from Counselor Then. We need your weapons. We need the kind of total warfare capability you demonstrated against the Krell. Will you help us? The representative, a former Ghost Corps officer named Director Huang Taemin, considered carefully. We'll help. On our terms. We lead the military strategy. We get full access to Commonwealth technology in exchange, and when this is over, no one questions our right to exist and defend ourselves. Agreed, Then said. Whatever it takes. Admiral Kang, now Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, assembled the fleet. General Han Bora, brought out of retirement as a strategic advisor, stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance once more. It's strange, Kang said. 10 years ago they wanted to destroy us. Now they're begging for help. Bora watched the tactical display as human ships prepared to jump. That's how respect works in the galaxy. You prove you can't be pushed around. Then they realize you're a valuable ally. We lost our innocence at Eden 7, but we gained something more important. What's that? The right to exist on our own terms. The galaxy doesn't love us. They might not even like us. But they'll never underestimate us again. They'll never think humanity is weak. They'll never believe we won't defend ourselves. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships prepare for slip space jump. We've got a galaxy to save. And when we're done, they'll remember that humans keep their word. We're civilized when the galaxy treats us with civility. We're monsters when they force us to be. Today we fight for them, but always, always we fight for us. The fleet jumped into the void, carrying humanity's fury and humanity's honor in equal measure. Behind them, Eden 7's memorial stood in silence, 12 stories of names carved in black stone. A reminder, a warning, a promise we were civilized. You made us stop. Never forget what you created when you pushed us too far. Never forget that humanity survives. Always. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Some species learned through witnessing Eden 7. Others learned through the destruction of the Crimson Fleet. All of them learned that humanity would rather burn the stars than accept extinction. And somewhere, in the darkness between stars, Dr. Nam's team continued their work. Building new weapons, developing new defenses, making sure that humanity would always have options, would always have teeth, would always be able to say no to anyone who thought humans were easy prey, because that was the real lesson of Eden 7. Not that humanity was violent, not that humans were cruel, but that humanity remembered. They remembered every slight, every threat, every murder, and when pushed, they would make sure you remembered too. The galaxy was safer for it, knowing that somewhere out there humanity watched and waited, willing to cooperate, eager to help, ready to build a better future, but also willing to drag everyone into the fire if necessary. That was the price of Eden 7. The Krell paid it in blood and defeat. The Commonwealth paid it in fear and respect. Humanity paid it in lost innocence and constant vigilance. General Han Bora stood before her sister's name one last time before returning to duty. She placed her hand on the cold stone and whispered, "I kept my promise, Jiwoo. They'll never forget you. They'll never forget any of you. I made sure of it." Then she turned and walked away, leaving the memorial behind but carrying its lesson with her. The galaxy had killed her sister. She had taught the galaxy why that was a mistake. Now she would make sure the lesson stuck for generations to come. Humanity would never be victims again. That was the promise. That was the threat. That was the new order among the stars.